Earthian is a program which is Wipro's attempt to bring together, to try and integrate two central issues, two central concerns that we must have today. One is education and the other is sustainability. And to perhaps understand as to why Wipro is trying to do this, let's really look at these two concepts first. What do we mean by education? What do we mean by sustainability? And then we'll talk about why being together is so important. Education at its most fundamental level is really about the process of the multi-dimensional development of the child, of the student, of the young person, such that he or she fulfills herself, her potentialities as an individual, and also becomes an integral part, an important part of a society which sort of rejuvenates itself. So education, therefore, is the attempt to grow and develop the individual and to grow and develop society. And that's what good education does. And therefore, what good education means is good education is working with the child, with the student, to develop his or her faculties, cognitive faculties, social faculties, emotional abilities, values and ethical systems, right? All that stuff is really good, integrated, whole education. And that's what education is. On the other hand, when we look at sustainability, at its core, sustainability is this issue that are we meaning humankind, mankind, are we living on this earth in a manner by which we are in harmony with the earth, with nature? Are we living in a manner by which the earth that we are living with is not something that is getting depleted by us in our generation and a few generations to come? Essentially, are we living in a manner, and again, when I'm saying we, it's mankind, humankind, right? So are we living in a manner by which we are really taking cognizance of the fact that generations to come have to come and live here, not just us? And when I say generations to come, it's again not humankind alone, it's actually everything on this planet. And therefore that issue is about how intensely are we using resources? Are we using resources in a manner by which they can actually regenerate themselves? Or are we damaging the environment and ecological systems such that they cannot be regenerated? Right? Now, if we are doing this in a manner by which we are responsible users of nature's services, so to say, not just for ourselves, but for all generations to come, then this is sustainable living. Now, when I describe these two things, it becomes sort of fairly clear that these are perhaps very important processes, perhaps very important endeavors and enterprises for humankind, for society. Education on one hand and sustainability on the other. Now, the issue is that the way we are living together today, and again, when I say we, it's not in one city, it's not in one country, it's the global society. The way we are living, we are not living in a very sustainable manner. Climate change is a reality, loss of biodiversity is a reality, water and scarcity of water is a reality. And we see that and we experience that every day, not just in the headlines and newspapers, but we live through it. Now, the real issue is that how do we change society? How do we build towards a lifestyle for global society such that we move towards more sustainable living? And that's really the central challenge. And on the other hand, when you look at education, the purpose of education is to build individuals who are fulfilling themselves and to build society. Now, when you put both these together, then one realizes that perhaps the most important, perhaps the most powerful mechanism of shifting humankind towards a more sustainable society is if we could integrate the concern for sustainability, the understanding of sustainability into education. Then we have a system by which, as our society grows up, as our society changes, impacted by education, it will start moving towards a more sustainable way of living. If I were to just say that in another set of words, Wipro's effort to bring education and sustainability together is simply this thing, that since sustainability is very critical, sustainability must be learned, must be understood, its issues must be tackled by children and students as they grow up. And what better a platform, what better a process, what better a system to try and do this than education itself.
Let me start by going back in history about 200 years to the year 1813. And let's imagine if we had to run a program like earthian for schools and colleges all over India. First of all, of course, there wouldn't be that many schools and colleges. But if we had to do a program like this, can you imagine what it would take? First, we would probably have to print a few hundred copies bearing the instructions for participating in earthian. That would take a few days, if not up to a month. Second, we would have to send each of those manuals to the various schools and colleges across the country. How would we do that in 1813? By post for sure, but remember at that point of time there was no train, there were no railway lines. The steam engine had been invented in England, but the railways had not yet started. So the post would have had to use horse carts, bullock carts, men walking on foot, and therefore those manuals would reach the schools a month later. 2-3 months for the schools to participate, and then they send it back another 1 month. And then we assess it, we declare the results, and we communicate it another 1 month. So you can imagine the difficulties that we would have faced in running a program like this, even at a small scale. Move fast forward 100 years to 1913, the railways have been introduced all over the world, the telegraph has been introduced, and therefore things are probably a little faster. And yet there are several other things that are not yet in place. Electricity is not there yet, neither is the internet for sure. And therefore, while certain things have improved, certain things haven't. Now come to 2013. I'm talking to you, sitting in Bangalore, and this is going to be seen by you sitting in all parts of the country and the world. How is this possible? Through a variety of technologies, which we need not go into here. So the point which all of us intuitively understand is that there seems to have been tremendous progress on science, on technology, and a variety of related dimensions over the last 200 years since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. And yet, along with that, have come a set of challenges that we collectively as human society have begun to face and realize with increasing intensity over the last few decades. It would not be wrong to say this, that if technology and science define the 20th century, sustainability is going to define the 21st century. So what is sustainability? There are several dimensions to it. Some of them are environmental and some of them are societal. But let me try to sort of summarize what sustainability means to us in as simple a frame as possible. One view of sustainability is this, that we are running out of resources. Those resources could be coal, which is used to generate electricity, or that those resources could be certain metals, which go into, let's say, the making of electronic goods, and so on. So there is one view which is centered around resource scarcity, and therefore how do you conserve these resources? So conservation of resources. The other angle, which is equally if not more significant, is as you use up resources to make stuff, to make goods, to make products, what are you doing to the biophysical environment around you, right? Way back in 1987, the United Nations had commissioned a landmark study called Our Common Future. And in that study, they try to define sustainability in simple terms, which has since then caught the imagination of thousands of people. And the definition goes something like this: sustainability is the ability of the current generation to meet their needs without compromising the ability of future generations to do so as well. While one part of Earthian is about participating in a nationwide event like this, Earthian goes much beyond, just participation, competition, winning awards. The second part of Earthian is about a longer engagement, a 3-year engagement with selected schools and colleges, wherein what we do is to bring in through us, our partners, a variety of educational interventions that we hope will help meet the objectives that I talked about earlier. We sincerely think that the solutions, if you want to call them that, to the challenges of sustainability will come in a much more meaningful manner, in a stronger manner, from our future generations, from the generations that are there in schools and colleges today. And that is something that we are optimistic about and we are committed to making happen. Earthian is 2 years old now. We started in 2011. We completed 2 editions, both of which were met with, I would say, overwhelming, enthusiastic responses from schools and colleges, not only across India, but even from other parts of the world. That gives us the encouragement, the impetus and the stimulus to take Earthian forward even more strongly and with even more commitment.